Hey there, y'all, and welcome to today's Daily Down and Dirty. My name is Fairlight. Welcome to Airy Fairy Tarot. All right, y'all, there is a lot going on in the cards today. There's a lot going on in the skies today, too. So, I wasn't sure. I was a little stumped on what to call it because I see some really good, things going on, but it feels like there's movement, passage through a tunnel. I kind of wanted to call this card 9/11 because my Asheville bestie Murph and I have this thing about always saying the number 9/11, and I say that's the tunnel because 9 represents endings and then the 11 is a doorway. So it's like you're ending something and emerging through a doorway. And we've got a couple of 11s on the table. I don't know I think we might have 1 9. I have to look at that. But, with all that stuck energy and like calling it 9/11 could be like give the wrong impression. And so I decided to call it, oh fuck, I'm stuck. So we start out with this 4 of Earth, but it was reversed. And so, I don't know, when I saw that like this, I heard that old country song, take this job and shove it. Because this is an Earth card, he is working really hard. And with it being reversed, it's like he's tired of holding it all up. He's tired of holding it all together. You see upright, when he's holding up the world, he's holding up everybody's happiness. But if you look very close, it's like putting cracks in his arm. He's bleeding. He's got cracks in his face even. He's got a crack all the way down his face. It's just hard to see it. So with this being reversed, it does feel like there's an energy of I've had enough of this. And with it being an Earth energy, it is more grounded in your material life. There's some other cards that are gonna highlight that, but then I felt like I needed to go to this, I don't know, you could either see him as a father of air or as like a sage or a priest of air, but he was also reversed. And then above that, we had this Major Arcana 22. This deck is very different in the way she went with it. Normally the Major Arcana ends at 21. I see this as a long dark night of the soul card. So it's that 9 to the 11 kind of energy, where you see that she's been in the darkness and she's never quite alone. She's got her little kitty there, taking care of her, keeping track in the shadows. And then now she's kind of turning her face to this illumination. And I love that the light is just a candle, but there's something about finding the illumination. And you see how when she looks to the flame, it illuminates her third eye as well. And then it also kind of illuminates her owl here. And she's got some sort of crystal in her hand. And it looks like the night, like there's a crescent moon and some stars in there. And like I could spend forever in this card because then I like to look at the spider web. And the spider web is that we are weaving our destiny all the time. And I love talking about cycles. True time is cyclical in nature, just as the earth goes around the sun and we measure it by the solstices and the equinoxes, the seasons. True time is cyclical in nature. Saturn is known as the timekeeper, not of clocks, but of true time, the cyclical nature of time. And I often attribute spiders to Saturn because of the 8 legs, and 8 corresponds to Saturn, karma, all of that stuff, the infinity symbol. And then loving it that the spider sits on the moon. The moon also speaks to the cyclical nature of our earthly existence. And isn't it interesting that the feminine body produces a monthly cycle in accordance with the movement of the moon? So there's something about, I feel like it's the axis of Capricorn and Cancer as well, that maybe that's the axis of cycles as well, because it's like those smaller cycles with the movement of the moon rules Cancer, and then those bigger cycles connected with Saturn, which rules Capricorn. But anyway, both of these being reversed, I kind of get this, and then this one here too. I feel like we're starting to recognize that old structures just aren't working for us. And the more we try to rigidly stay within the confines of structures that make us feel comfortable, the more we're breaking down, at least on the inside. But we can only break down inside for so long before things need to change on the outside, before either we have a breakdown or a breakthrough or something usually has got to give. And you know, the saying goes, breakdown equals breakthrough, right? So it does feel like maybe be a little bit less or a lot less rigid as far as the way things, the way the structures are breaking down. It's like, you know, if you grow too big for the cage, you know, you need to get out of that cage. You can't just live inside a cage that's too small for you. It's time to break free. So then I want to come back to this card. So this physical, it feels like there is a breakdown. There's something that, I don't know, I just feel such a frustration with this card. Like, and again, it can be connected to just anything in the physical world. It could even be the way you do your spirituality in the physical world. Like, so even though it is earth energy, it could be connected to your money, but it could be connected to your foundations. You see, he's holding up that foundation. So whatever is foundational, this can be family stuff, whatever it is. And the reason I say it could be spiritual is these next two cards that were kind of in line with it. This one was kind of overlighting the whole reading, but then there was this line that like went above the rest of the cards. So we've got this 5 of fire, and this one stays pretty close to what 5 of fire is. The 5 of wands, it is about conflict, competition. I mean, they're this one's beating up this guy. So it's like we're tired of proving ourselves. I think there's this like, I just feel tired and like sick of it. I think this whole paradigm of feeling like we have something to prove, and like we're in competition with something that often is indefinable. And sometimes we project that belief that we have to prove ourselves and that competition kind of stuff. We can project that onto other people or even other, you know, belief systems, other paradigms, whatever. Depends on what you're looking at. Politics, spirituality, you know, if you're into sports, other sports people, whatever, you get it. But with this 11, and this is one of 2 11 cards that we have, this one being reversed, and both of the 11 cards are reversed. So it's like there's a door that wants to open for you, but there's something that's got to give. Something needs to break down in order for that breakthrough. One, maybe so the door can even reveal itself to you. Like maybe you just don't know the way out. And I'll just sneak ahead. The other 11 card, it's these 2 earth signs. We've got this, she's kind of the mystic, the witch, or she could even be the mother of air. Interesting that these 2 both came out together, except that she was upright actually. So, and it is also interesting too, I'm just jumping around because I was noticing the numerology as well. We've got this major arcana 10 upright, and that's a whole stack by itself. And underneath all of that, we've got this 12 reversed and major arcanas. So we've got the 10, then we've got these 2 11s reversed, and then we've got the, where is the 12? Oh, the 12, okay, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So there's something about like the steps being blocked in a way, and those 11s especially, but then that final block that needs to be faced, even though we end on the 14, it's reversed, but then this 13 is upright. I think there's a deference to kind of the yin energy. I think there's a need to surrender. So man, I'm all over the place, I know. So, but I just wanted to jump ahead that we do have these 2 11s and both of them being reversed. So this 11, I always want to call it like the Buddhist card of like, because it's like within the sacred is the mundane, and within the mundane there is the sacred. It's all sacred, it's all mundane. Being a spiritual, having a spiritual way of life is sacred, but it's also normal and mundane. But then having a mundane everyday life, it's very sacred and very spiritual. So it reminds me of that Buddha saying, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood, carry water, but it's all about the energy with which you carry out your tasks. So again, with this being reversed next to this energy, it just feels like you've lost connection. You've lost connection with your purpose. You've lost connection with passion. Like, what is it all for? Feeling like going through the motions of everyday life, there's a futility. Like, you know, in the paradigm that is crumbling for us collectively, we kind of we're led to believe that here's this formula: you go to school, you get good grades, you da-da-da, then you get married, and then you have kids, and la-la-la, and these are definitions of success, and you've got to have 2 cars and a big house, and la-la-la-la-la, which is all well and good. But if you don't feel like you're living a life of purpose, if you don't feel like you're living a life of passion, if you're just doing it to uphold structures that really have no meaning for you, and you just feel like you're a cog in the machine, yeah, you know, what are you fighting for? Where's the passion that, oh, I'm in this competition with these people, but really what is the payoff if I've lost connection with who I truly am? So it feels like the antidote, then we come to another number 10, the 10 of water, and then also the number 6 of fire. I like that here. It's like, I think there's something about reconciling your emotional well-being and recognizing that your emotions are creating your reality in a big way. And sometimes it really is the perspective that we take. And in the moment though, like when you're deeply depressed or when you're deeply disappointed or even deeply angry, like sometimes you just need to honor it and sit with it and not, I mean, you definitely don't want to shove it down. But I do feel like there's something, because she's almost got like these puppets on a string, but she's conducting the water. And again, water represents our emotions. And so I wonder, with this one being reversed and the moon controls the tides, and here she is controlling the tides, it's like this moon energy, but there's something that brings this into who you are. And you know, you see that she's controlling the way the moon controls the tides. So and also because it is the triple moon that's represented here, that there's a number of things that want to go through. One is, this too shall pass. You know, you may be in a cycle where you are surfacing trauma or grief or rage or whatever it is. And it needs to come to the surface. Again, the only way out is through. So there's a deep need for patience. And the only earth signs that are on the table, earth cards that are on the table, are both reversed right now. And earth energy is very slow moving. It does call for diligence. It does call for patience. It calls for discipline and commitment. So I think there's a need to identify, you know, what lies within your heart. What is your passion? If you're identifying that the life you're living is not bringing you a life of passion, then maybe it's time to stop focusing on that part and be like, okay, well, this is clarifying. I want more passion in my life, or I want more meaning. I don't just want to do the grind. I don't want to feel like I'm in competition. I don't want to feel like just a cog in the machine. I need to feel like I'm more in control of the flow of things and what, you know, my ship's coming in. I need to feel more like I'm, you know, things are working more in alignment with the way I would conduct things. I am the conductor of my energy. I am the conductor of my frequency. I am the conductor of what I flow into my life and what I allow to flow out. And so then we've got the 6, and this is such a card of diplomacy. It reminds me so much of the Hierophant. Even though this isn't a major arcana, this is like such a pagan version of the Hierophant. So I'm just going to go ahead and kind of look at that energy a little bit. But it's also a card of balance. You see that this person has black skin and this person has white skin. person. This person is wearing a black cloak. I guess they're brown, whatever, you know. Dark robes, this person is wearing light robes. This one's carrying a dark sword. This one's carrying a light sword. I'm like, what is that green? Interesting that the light sword is activating growth in this plant down there. And these, it's like, I don't know, sunflowers, dandelions, some sort of marigold, I don't know, some sort of pretty yellow flower. And then here's this like overseer, this like high priest or something. And that's the second time I feel we have this energy, even though he's reversed. But I kind of feel like maybe this card is an answer to this one about getting out of rigid constructs of the mind, getting out of rigid belief systems or rigid attachment to the way things need to, you know, work or flow or whatever, rigid attachments to outcomes. It's more about just getting into the moment of feeling passionate, getting into the moment of feeling free and creative, getting into the moment of, well, I've identified that I don't want to do this anymore, so now make a decision. I'm not doing this anymore. I'm not fucking doing this anymore. Oh fuck, I'm stuck. Well, how do I get unstuck? Well, by declaring to myself, giving myself permission to decide that I'm not going to do this anymore, not for much longer. And so now it's like there is a way out of this situation. And I think that's one way to start conducting. What can you connect with that makes you feel more in alignment with your faith in yourself, faith in your purpose, and finding that balance within yourself. And it maybe, because it's like, if you're unhappy, maybe you start criticizing yourself for being unhappy. Or, you know, if you're competitive, maybe you're criticizing yourself for not winning. But are you not winning at something you don't even fucking want to do anyway? So, you know, finding that balance within yourself, I think, is going to bring a great amount of clarity. And that's where we come to this 13 of air and this 11 reversed. It feels like with these two cards, she's having trouble connecting to her vision. By herself, she is a visionary. She's got this sword at her third eye, and she's illuminated by this like illuminated butterfly kind of being. And then the purity of this white owl at her throat, like really moving forward on her truth and feeling protected even in the darkness. But then when this card comes here, and upright, this is like my science of mind card. This is my pantheist. I was so excited to realize that science of mind really just teaches pantheism, where it's all one thing, and quantum theory teaches the same thing. It's all one unified field. It's all one vast ocean, even though this one was reversed, but it's all this vast ocean where we rise up as individuated consciousness, but then we're done with this experience, and then we return back to the vastness of the oneness of all that is. So we want this card to be upright. It's like reconnecting with your own divinity, reconnecting with your own vision, reconnecting with what feels like purpose, that clarity, and it comes through with this passion. But you find the passion by finding a balance and loving yourself more. That's really, I'm gonna skip over to this one. With this one being reversed, it's like you're drained. Upright, she's pulling all of this ocean water up into herself. This is true self-love. This is a major arcana of 12. This is how we manifest our reality. 12 is such a solid number of manifestation. But with it being reversed, it's like you're manifesting negatively because you're giving all of your beliefs and your powers over to constructs of belief systems that don't align with your truth, with your vision, with your purpose. And so with that being reversed, you're really closed off from your own divine flow. I think a lot of us are being activated. Everybody is psychic. Not everybody knows that they're psychic, and not everybody trusts being psychic. One, because they've been really indoctrinated not to believe in that part of themselves, because we're easy to control if we don't know that we're powerful. But then two, right use of power, there's a lot of mind fuckery that we have to sift through. I feel like there was a third reason why we don't, because then even if we have engaged with our psychic powers, we probably have been told we're crazy. especially if we reveal something that somebody doesn't want to look at or doesn't want to be seen. Instead of acknowledging it, they say, "Nuh-uh, you're crazy," instead of saying, "You're crazy if you think I'm going to admit the truth to you." So there's something in that. I think there's a need to admit that some major truth to self. You don't have anything to prove. And this is, again, it's like indoctrination in patriarchy, indoctrination of church, politics, whatever the fuck constructs of reality. It's all fucking made up. Indoctrination of obeying clocks and an indoctrination of all kinds of things. You know, you don't want to let your father down or your mother or whatever, but like, who are they to be let down by you choosing what's most honest and authentic for you? So do you really not want to let them down? Like, do you really want to let yourself down and prove that you're really successful at being untrue to yourself? You know, so that's part of why this is here, is like, you are in a long dark night of the soul and you don't like it, but you're being spiritually activated. So then we come over to these cards. I acknowledge this one. Again, it's a major arcana. It is the 12. Turning it right side up, I think this is the goal, is to turn this right side up and learn to receive. And I go off, man, this is a long reading, but whatever, I don't care. So, you know, in one distortion of the reality that thankfully is shattering in my La La Land anyway, in my opinion, is that there's the givers and there's the takers. And it's like, you're lazy if you don't aspire to be one of the takers, but then when you go to be one of the takers, then you get knocked down. Who are you? You've got to prove yourself. You're not worthy of being a taker. You need to go sit down and prove yourself. And how do you prove yourself? By being a giver. So you prove and you give and you give and you prove and you prove and you give, with the belief that someday you'll prove yourself enough that you'll be found worthy by one of the takers, that now you're worthy to be a taker yourself. And like, that is the mind-fucked indoctrination, but when it's said out loud, that's ridiculous. That's fucking bullshit. It's all control. It's all based on fear and obedience and giving your power over to some made-up authority. And all authority is made up. It's all a construct of the mind. It's all made up. There is no God authority. There is no father. It's all one unified field. It's a vast ocean. Putting your divinity outside of you makes you easy to control through fear of punishment. You know, so, or believe whatever you want to believe, but whatever. So fuck all that. Your divinity is within. You are a sovereign being. You get to choose. You get to decide. You get to align to what is sacred for you and live your truth and orchestrate this and find that balance. And so, so it looks like the path you're going into, I love that you've got this 10 and you've got this Ace of Water. This is a major arcana. Normally the 10 major arcana is the Wheel of Fortune, and that's things moving in your favor. This one looks so much more like 9, the Hermit, where he's going off in exploration on his own. Often it's said that the light in the lantern is the star card. It's the star. It's the illumination of your consciousness, the light of your own consciousness. I love this card. We'll just focus on that for a minute, because at first it looks like this person, really can't tell if it's, you know, it doesn't matter, he, she, they. They're going into this cave, it looks like, because there's this tree and all of that. It looks like they're outside of the cave. But then when you look more closely, you see that there's stars. So really, this is a rebirth. This is an emergence, and the shape of the cave reminds me of a vagina. This is entering into a womb of creation. And where is that other card? And it just reminds me of whatever this sacred stone she's got in her hands. There's something about that dark night of the soul where you're going within, but it's like when she emerges, she's got that mystery in her hands. I don't know, so it's like you're really waking up to your own divine magic. Going on this journey, this emergence, but sometimes, or what I'm kind of hearing is that this emergence is also immersive. And so it's okay to see that emerging is actually going within. There's sort of a paradox about that. It's that, again, 9/11 energy, where, because Murph and I joke all the time that we're always seeing 9/11, when is it going to end? But it's like we are emerging and immersing simultaneously. So it's like we're walking through doorways and doors are closing behind us and new doors are opening in front of us. But there is no end in sight sometimes, because we need to go through these layers of reality, layers of constructs of reality, going through these layers of ourselves and our own belief systems. What I love too is that 10 indicates the completion of a cycle, and 1 + 0 = 1. And then we have this ace of water, which is a number 1. And I love that this emergence is so much about this water energy. And again, water represents our emotions, it represents our psychic abilities, it represents what lies beneath the surface. So these are our traumas, our toxic beliefs and patterns, generational curses, generational patterns, generational traumas. And so again, the way out is within. And that's like, I want to say it like 3 times at least. The way out is within, the way out is within. The way out is within, the way out is within, the way out is within, the way out is within. All right. And I love that there's this illumination at the throat of this dragon on this ace of water. And so connecting with your emotional fulfillment, this, and number 1's aces are doorways. Again, it's an emergence, but it being water, it's immersive. Going deep into your emotions, and really, it feels like you're breaking something free, you're breaking something loose. And as these traumas are released, as your rage is released, as your grief, as your whatever it is gets released, it's going to activate your throat chakra a lot. And so it might be a good idea to sing as often as you can. Definitely clarify your truth, speak truth whenever you can. Definitely journal and write things down. It also could affect your throat, and obviously I'm going through a little bit of throat activation. I actually have been for a while, because there's a lot of changes taking place, and the throat chakra is where we process change. It's the fiduciary of change, but it's also a fiduciary of creation. We have 2 yoni points in our bodies, and that's the sacral, where our womb is. Even if you're a masculine presenting body, you still have a womb space, you still have a sacral energy, sacral chakra. And then our throats are also yonis. If you ever look at a picture of the vocal fold, it's a yoni. So we're giving birth all the time. And I love this, because there's some sort of, again, I keep wanting to say the words emergence and immersive, but there's something about emerging from the waters with that card, and with this, going within and going through this doorway of emotional healing. And you get there's something about activating that throat chakra and illuminating your truth, speaking your truth, speaking about your passion, speaking about what would you find emotionally fulfilling. It really feels like a strong alignment to purpose and to your own divinity, to your own fulfillment, to recognizing, as Socrates said, the secret of change is not in fighting the old, but in building the new. So get unstuck by moving forward into clarifying what is keeping you stuck, and what will bring you more passion, more alignment, but ultimately what is fulfilling, what is nourishing, what is most nourishing and nurturing for you. All right, once again, my name is Fairlight. Thank you so much for watching. And of course, if you'll hit the buttons, I hate being cliche, but maybe that helps, subscribe and share and like and all that lovely stuff. All right, peace and love until next time.